Ah. Shastir Babadu. Shan Shastir Babadu. Salvation. Shastir Babadu. Sham Shastir Babatu. Salvation. Purnam Babatu. Sham Purnam Babatu. Salvation. Mangalam Babatu. Sham Mangalam Babatu. I forgot to light my candles. Oops. There we go. Salvation, Shasti, Babatu. Salvation, Shanti, Babatu. Salvation, Purnam, Babatu. Salvation, Mangalam, Babatu. Salvation, Shasti, Babatu. Salvation, Purnam, Babatu. Salvation, Mangalam, Babatu. Sham Shasti Babatu, Sham Shasti Babatu, Salvation, Shanti Babatu, Shanti Babatu, Salvation, Purnam Babatu, Sham Purnam Babatu, Salvation, Mangalam Babatu, Mangalam Babatu. Shastia Babatu, Salvation, Shantia Babatu, Salvation, Purnam Babatu, Salvation, Mangalam Babatu. Om. Om. Slavesham Shastir Bhavatu. Slavesham Purnam Bhavatu. Oh, I did that out of sequence. Slavesham Shastir Bhavatu. Slavesham Shantir Bhavatu. Slavesham Purnam Bhavatu. Slavesham Mangala to Om. Om. Swavesham Shastir Babatu. Swavesham Shantir Babatu. Swavesham Purnam Babatu. Swavesham Mangalam Babatu. Still Swavesham 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 Om. 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 Swavesham Shastir Babatu. Swavesham Shantir Babatu. Swavesham Purnam Babatu. Swavesham Mangalam Babatu. Okay. Shastir Babatu. Sham Babatu. Swavesham Purnam Babatu. Swavesham Mangalam Babatu. Om. Om. Swavesham Shasti Babatu. Swavesham Shantir Babatu. Swavesham Purnam Babatu. Swavesham Mangalam Babatu. Oh, good evening. I see someone. Hello. Oh, okay. Hello. Oh, I can hear you now. Yes, I can hear you. Hi there. How are you?
How are you doing today?
Oh, you're uh okay. Your
I'm
screen.
actually driving.
Oh my God. Oh, you're driving. Oh, well, you're
Yeah.
not supposed to drive and text, right? I'm getting in messages from the group. A couple of folks are running late. Uh, oh, yeah, Robert's running very, very late. I don't know if he'll make it, so we'll try and keep it short. Anyway, since you are driving, you would not have received the email I sent out with a couple of the pages from the practicum, right?
I did get it. I did receive it. I've not opened it up, but I saw it in my email.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yes, it's about the, well, you'll get to see the book eventually, I'm sure. But right now, it's just to give you an idea of the type of book that we've been using. I sent a copy to Nelia and to Sharon from my copy, or from my yeah, from my book. Um, but I spoke to Robert, and he says he's gonna try and get some more so that you guys can have your own, and so that's gonna be a good thing. And my goodness,
Oh
so
wow.
yeah, so you're on your way home. Oh my God. Well, you know what they say about texting and driving, so be careful, please. Um,
Oh yes.
so,
I won't be texting.
okay, all right. So, how was your weekend?
I worked all weekend, so it was good.
Oh, well, then, great.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Always good.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Did you
Yep.
have any
So
questions from the last time that you wanted to ask? Anything you can think of off the top of your head?
no,
Okay. All right.
no questions thus far. I think I'm going to park.
Okay.
I'm in front of a Publix now.
Okay. And I'm wondering, yeah, this is the week that was with the holiday, and I'm going to hold off with the blessing until uh, the others come on, at least for a few more minutes. It's only 8:45 right now, but
Oh, I wanted to mention real quick to you.
mhm,
I got a link about some blue wave that's coming. I'm not sure what it is. I haven't opened it up,
a
but
blue
I
wave.
can take a yeah a wave. I don't know. I didn't click on the link, so I don't know if it's coming today or it's coming in the near future. But the way they made it sound, it seems significant.
Okay. I guess I can say this on the air. This is I don't see why not. I have a task to perform in 2020 that was brought to me by my spirit guides, whatever you want to call them, in 2020. So I really don't worry about any of the things that they say that are coming, because I have it on good authority that those who are supposed to be here will still be here in 2020. Now, I don't, you know, don't know how much of the particulars I could give out. I mean, there's a grid that's being built, and I'm supposed to be assisting with connecting my portion of the grid from this part of Florida. There's more than, I'm not the only one. I know that there's supposed to be five of us in Florida, but it is a global thing. So there's people that are connecting with this grid around the world. My friend in, I think I told you about it. My friend in Australia hasn't emailed me about the blue wave yet. So maybe, maybe he's not concerned about that one. But ordinarily, if it's something that concerns him, he will send me he'll let me know. But even so, he's already given me at least a half dozen warnings this year, and I'm still here. And this part of the world is still here. I- You know, one of the reasons for this broadcast is that we're all a part of the disclosure. And the LYRICUS order, which initiated the information that comes through that we use or try to share or spread during this program, uh, it's all a part of the disclosure that's going on. Some of it, I understand, is has been in the news with the exposure of the sex rings with the children, the pedophiles, and stuff like that. Uh, some of it, I don't really know, and I don't question because, as I said, I have certain information that I will see certain things going on in 220. I can't speak for anybody else. I can only speak for myself. Good evening, Vaughn.
Hello, good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, and yourself?
Wonderful. Thanks for asking.
Yes. So, have you heard anything about a blue wave? Tony was just mentioning that to me. He's heard
Blue
about
waves?
a blue wave that's supposed to be coming through.
No, actually, I haven't. The only blue
Okay.
waves I know of is what I see when I go to the beach, and I see the
Okay,
ocean
that's
rolling in.
yeah, that's the best kind. Uh, I don't like I said, my friend in Australia usually keeps me well informed, and I haven't heard anything about that. But I still get information on the grid that I'm working with, and so I keep track of that, and I do ask my well, you can call them spirit guides, you can call them archangels, you can whatever you want to call them. My intuitiveness, or however you want to phrase it, we each have intuitive abilities, and we each uh, do whatever or follow whatever our construct indicates we should follow. And so I've not been alerted, and I'm always told to and whatever it is that I have as a task that follows through with the mission that I'm supposed to be completing. Um, but again, the Lyricus order itself is a form of disclosure. The information that we discuss from the When, Which, How book, and information from
Event temples.
yes, the event temples. Yes, thank you for that. Um, this is all a part of a major disclosure that's going on. It's done. It appears in a very subtle way, uh, because I do believe that if someone came out and said, "Oh, this is disclosure. This is what's going on," blah blah blah. Um, I don't know what type of reception it would get. I know that the Laricus order seems to have a more subtle approach to the information that they share, which is a good thing. Some people go into denial. I know a couple of people that they can't even handle uh, dealing with the word order, uh, or extraterrestrial, or that there is a connection between this, that, or whatever. That it frightens them a little, and so that's understandable. And so I'm waiting on at least two more before I do the evening blessing. Um, but I do appreciate you gentlemen showing up to the party. uh, this evening, we were going to, and we still shall, just for the benefit of people like Nelia and Sharon Renee and Tony, go over a few of the things that we may have gone over in the last week or so, just so that you're familiar. And of course, if you have any questions. I'll be glad when you get your books because then you can really go through and well, hopefully you're not like me and you don't read from the back to the front, which is what I usually do. But that can be very frustrating for some people uh, to do that. But
I have a question, a real quick question for you. What was the question regarding the blue waves, or what's the significance of it?
the blue waves. Oh, I'm sorry. I think
You said Tony had
Tony.
a question about it.
Yes, Tony had a question. He asked me about the blue waves. Are you still there, Tony?
I just
Hello?
someone. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, someone from sent me a link about a blue wave, and I didn't open it or click on it, but I just saw it very quickly. And so I was like, huh, I wonder what the blue wave is about, and so I thought I'd ask because I've not had time to look into it myself.
Hmm. The only thing I can
I
think of.
what I'm thinking, it's probably just another one of those waves that we've been getting continuously.
Hmm. What I was going to say
I can
is,
look into it, and I can be right back.
okay, be careful, no texting and driving. What I
Nope,
was
nope.
going to what I was going to say is that there was someone on one of my very earliest broadcasts by the name of Margot. I brought her up before and didn't go into detail about speaking with her. She has her own programs and radio talk show and etc. etc. And that night, uh, Robert and Reverend Renee Shaw and someone else was on with us. I don't remember who. And I thought the discussion went very, very well. This is a woman who claims to have been abducted several times, and she has had several implants removed. And who else was on? And she was in the process of replacing chakras. It appears to have died down a bit, but for a while there, people were having their chakras removed or at least blocked because they were being told that it was the reason they were having problems with their activation, ascension activation, was giving them symptoms and headaches and so on and so forth. And so they were having their chakras blocked. And after having them blocked, they realized that they were having more problems than before. Some claimed that they were feeling or seeing attachments and that they were speaking with uh, entities that were offering them deals for their energy and so on and so forth. And so they would come to her to have the blocks removed and the chakras replaced. And that's how she got on the program with me because it seemed to be something that the next thing I knew, my email was bursting with uh, and my Facebook page, all of my pages, because I was on Blog Talk at the time, with people asking me about someone to help them regain their chakras. So when I encountered her, I asked her to come on. I thought we had a great evening. And when I called her back, which is what I do usually when I have a speaker on, someone to host with, to talk to her, she was so upset with me and everyone that was on that night. She cursed us. Oh, it's not funny. Uh, I still don't remember anybody saying anything in particular that would have upset her. I have had happened to mention that I was planning a center, a healing center, and that maybe making a franchise of it, having more than one across state or whatever. And she told me, don't bother because the world is in such a mess. It's going to be coming to an end soon. This was back in the summer of this year. She didn't have any any conviction that the world would even be here this far along in the year. And so, like I said, I get people all the time. This date, that date, the other date. Tony, I think you and I joked about October 23rd. It was supposed to go down then. Before that, it was September 23rd. Uh, on and on and on. And so I think that the Blue Wave is probably a part of that mystery group where things are just supposed to go. Again, I don't see any. I don't feel any energies from that. I don't have any fears. I am fearless when it comes to stuff like that. Oh, you guys are quiet. Okay. All right. I know that takes a little bit that particular thought takes a little bit to deal with. I understand.
Well, actually, not really. What was coming through my mind as I was listening to you is, I guess what I was being reminded of is the fact that there is a preponderance of information, and we really can spend a lot of time seeking for information, acquiring a lot of information, but yet still not really being any more aware or any more conscious. Because again, it's all just information, and the point that I'm getting to is the exploration of all of this information is it really comes to naught if simultaneously or if not as a priority, there is not a focus on the exploration of the information that's within.
True.
That process is what helps us to develop the connections that we have to that, for the sake of this conversation, that we will refer to as a truth. And as we experience these connections and we work on strengthening them or empowering them and becoming less encumbered and more of a clear vessel of channel of energy, a lot of the stuff that's outside of us that's informational, we develop a level of discernment that sort of allows us to move forward through life, sort of, with the ability to sort of discern, what really is worth our time and our energy behind our life's purpose, and I think it's very easy for us to get caught up in all of the information, as there are individuals across the face of the earth, so there are perspectives, and it drives us as we seek the answers outside of ourselves, and things become a lot more convoluted and a lot more confusing. I think ultimately we are forced to look for the answers within ourselves. And that's where the clarity really begins to take place. So it's
Well
always good
said.
for us to be very clear in terms of what we're doing, not to be mixing up things and convoluting things for our own misunderstanding and our own entrapment. Right? Seeking knowledge of history is one thing, and exploring history is one thing. Being open-minded to all of the different ideas and the different terminologies and the different concepts is good, because, the truth is in everything, right? But for us to look to that information to provide us with anything of real true substance that is going to help us in terms of our soul's journey, I'm not so sure that that is the path to go.
Well, now that's well said. Uh, I must bring a caveat to that, of course. Um, an individual that is or may consider themselves to be a seeker has to construct a construct that allows them to determine or ascertain what is truth and what is not truth. And because of who we are as sentient sovereigns, there is a minuscule of truth in everything, even when it's a lie. Especially when it's especially when it's a lie, there is usually a level of truth somewhere. That's what makes it attractive. Uh, there is a word for it in psychology. They've been drowning me with that the last weekends in my quizzes, in the quizzes that I've had to take. But basically, what we're taught to do is how to convince people of things. It has become, oh, it actually has become a talent or a skill that is being taught uh, from this culture. And I've been flooded with the word. I can't remember the pronunciation. It's spelled Heu. And I can't even remember the spelling right now. I've had to write 3 different papers on it and 2 quizzes in the last 2 weeks. So it's probably being blocked. But at any rate, it is considered uh, an art form almost to be able to convince someone to do or think something that is not necessarily true. And there's even a technique for avoiding resistance to that effect. And so this is a part of what we're dealing with now as far as the culture is concerned. As far as our development as sovereign integrals are concerned, pardon me, it is within our higher self, our higher consciousness, to be able to discern what is the truth for that particular soul at that particular moment. We're looking at diversity as far as culture is concerned. There's every culture here in this country. If we have the truth of the Buddhists, we have the truth of the Kabbalists, Zoroastrianism, and on and on. So, oops, and that's my phone again, and someone else is running late. But in the final analysis, how we determine or discern what is truth. There are people who still receive uh, or attest to miraculous uh, events based on calling upon Jesus Christ. Same thing for those who follow the saints of Catholicism. I know of people who have been healed through their belief in Buddhism. So it goes to the extent, in my opinion, that it depends on how you perceive it and how deeply you hold that perception. Hello? Uh-oh.
Yeah, we're here.
Robert is in Hollywood. Oh, Robert is in Hollywood.
Yeah, he can't
Okay.
make it tonight.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
in terms of what you're just saying, I think we're both saying the same thing. For the sake of clarity, the when I talk about truth and information, There's two different things. Whether Buddhism or Christianity or whatever the path or the discipline or the construct of ancient knowledge and wisdom, whatever it is that you are exposed to, whether from a familial level or from a cultural level, or whether this is something you choose later on in life. The bottom line is, again, all of this information is still outside of ourselves, right? So what I'm talking about, it doesn't matter if we're talking about religion, we're talking about dogma, or we're trying to talk about history, or we're discussing philosophy. The point I'm making is that all of this is still informational. The only thing that really matters is the truth that is inherent in each of us. And what is that truth? That truth is in terms of, first of all, becoming aware of who and what we really are and awakening to our true nature. This has nothing to do with following a religious dogma or studying the LYRICUS group or, anything along those lines. That idea, that is a programmed construct that creates limitations within our minds in terms of what we are and who we are and what we're capable of and what we have access to. And the more we're socialized and the more we are within the construct of the groups, the social groups, whether it's local or community or, regional or national or, continental, or however you want to break it down, at the end of the day, there's an infinite amount of information that's outside of ourselves. And if we go into any one of these paths and we go deep enough, it all leads back to the same source because everything comes out of one. So that's not what I'm talking about. That is a process of enriching the mind and informing the mind, informing the being at a physical level. That is a process that involves very much the enlisting of the lower mind, of the functioning mind, the mind that is subject to the constructs of the physical world, the subconscious mind, the paradigms and the ideas and the narratives and all these things that we develop through our life experiences that become our personality, that literally dictates how we feel, how we respond to the world around us, how we deal with circumstances, how we see ourselves, our emotional state. All of these things come out of that. And all of that comes from being informed from the outside. The process of healing is not one of information, it's one of realization. The process of healing, we can't heal ourselves by informing ourselves of all of this information that's external to us. The way we heal ourselves is by going in, by gaining a much deeper level of knowledge, understanding, and awareness of our being, of who we are, how we came to be, how we're functioning, how my mind works, why my mind works the way it works, why my personality expresses itself the way it expresses itself. Why do I have certain emotional reactions to certain things? Why do I have a specific worldview or view of myself? All of these things are part of the programming that comes from the external life experience. So true healing is void of all of this information of, planetary history and the origin of, the kinds of things that we talk about, even let's say within the wingmakers, relative to the quote unquote process of disclosure. And it's important for us to be able to differentiate one thing from the other. because there is a great deal of convolution and confusion within the world, especially within the community of seekers.
No, while you've taken a breath, and I could make a point here and there, I wanted to say good evening, Reverend Sharon Renee.
Well,
How
good
art thou?
evening, good evening, good evening.
Good evening. Good
Beautiful to
evening.
be here with you all. How are
Yeah.
you all this evening?
Fabulous, my dear. Did you
Welcome.
receive the 2 pages that I sent you from the when, which, how?
Yes, ma'am. I
Okay,
received it. I
you
did.
received it.
I'm act- yes, I'm going over it now actually.
You're looking over it
While
now.
we're
Okay.
while Vaughn is speaking, yes.
Okay. All right. And so I think we have enough for the blessing to get started. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Vaughn, but I'm trying to stay on schedule here. And we will just acknowledge by taking a deep breath our desire to be one with the truth. And we breathe. This is a great moment, not just in our lives, but this is a great moment, this time, this place, as we are, as Vaughn said, seekers. We are all seekers in different ways. And at this particular time, we acknowledge that we are seekers of the heart. And so I am grateful to the universe for allowing this opportunity. I say disclosure. Disclosure is a very popular word right now. We know in our hearts we feel that which is necessary to bring about the truth from the heart. And so I ask and receive and share that which comes through the universal heart for every soul, everywhere. Uh, on world, off world, whoever and wherever you are. Blessings upon all of that which you believe yourself to be. And breathe. Taking in through the nostrils, holding for the count of 3, releasing through parted lips. There is a technique in Kriya Yoga where you lower the eyelids, directing the eyes upwards towards that space, portal chakra, between the eyebrows, bringing the tongue, the tip of the tongue, back to the foremost part of the throat, allowing yourself to resonate with that energy. This is a technique that is as old as the ancients who have meditated using this technique. And depending on where you are and who you are in your spirituality, may you always receive that which is your essence. And breathe, releasing through parted lips. Blessings upon every soul. And so we continue. We have approximately, just a few minutes left. I was expecting Henry and Nelia, who are both probably still on their way from work. But good show still. I don't know if you had an opportunity to hear Vaughn before. Tony, did you have something that you wanted to ask Vaughn, or perhaps uh, something to add to the conversation?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you fine, dear.
Okay, okay, great. No, I don't have anything to add. I'm just
Uh-oh,
listening.
you've gotten very low. I'm sorry.
Oh, oh, oh.
Hello? Okay.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Ah, yes, there you are.
My
Yes,
phone. I'm
Vaughn was
having
making.
issues with my phone.
Oh, yes, I know. There's a lot of that going on. Vaughn had some excellent points. I just wanted to see if anyone wanted to contribute before we moved on.
No, the blue wave. I just read because I was disconnected. I lost a call, so I was like, "Let me look real quick," and it's just an event that they've created in Sedona. So it's nothing coming in or
Ah,
anything.
fantastic. You see
So
that? I could have started a rumor. That would have been marvelous, wouldn't it?
And you see that's the very point that I'm making is
Yes,
that
I understand, sweetie.
there is so
And
much
yeah,
information that we can get very distracted in the
yes.
process of what we're seeking for, right?
Oh,
And so,
I agree with you 100%. I was making a joke about my friend in Australia
mhm.
who did the same thing with the half dozen end of the worlds in the planet, the Anunnaki planet that was supposed to be hitting us somewhere in between September and October. He actually uh, emailed me that he believed that he saw the the colors of the flame of the planet as it was coming towards Earth, and I couldn't answer him. I
that was
know.
a different timeline.
Yes, perhaps. I know. He's such a sweetheart. He's very concerned about my welfare. So you know, I what can I say? It's just that I don't listen to those. I don't as I brought out. Oh, Sharon, you remember Margot? I brought up Margot for
Yes.
a brief yes. Still don't understand what went on with that, except that we just weren't drumming
Vibing.
to her tune or something, I guess. Um, ah, well, that's that's what happens. That's part of human nature. Um,
Yeah.
which sometimes I don't think that I'm human anymore. But
Well, I tell you today, the human part of me was pretty intense with traffic and people driving crazy everywhere. I was not having fun, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it would be so much easier to just think myself to different places without having to deal with this beings."
okay, so I'm going to. We got a couple of minutes left. I sent you guys the page 42 in the one second. In the beginning of the when, which, how. And Vaughn, do you have that copy available?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So I tell you what, if you don't mind, I'll just go ahead and read the lead in the practice of when, which, how, and if you would continue with the framework, because this is new for Tony and Sharon. Uh, and the lead in is this is the goal of the
I
when, which, oops,
I do have to get the book, so I'll be a few minutes behind. But go ahead.
okay. This is the goal of the when, which, how practice to draw your soul into the experience of the body mind and enable it to lead the expression of your life in the domains of time-space. It is the heart's intention to be the enabling force for this goal.
And this is page 42, right?
Yes. Its title or heading is The Practice of One Which How.
Yeah, and I think that what Tony was just saying a while ago is an excellent segue into this specific practice. I think we all experience that, Tony, with the frustrations and the stresses of life, as simple as they may be. Let's say in the case of driving, and we kind of like, we get sort of fed up and we're like, you know what, I wish I could just disconnect from this thing. And especially when we begin, that sort of a journey inwards and we begin to experience what that inner peace and that harmony really feels like. And then that's contrasted to, the physical world and the interactions thereof that we experience. It drives us very easily to that sort of a mindset. But the real key to all of the stuff that you're doing and the work that we're doing is to make us more effective within the world relative to our true life's purpose. We are all creative beings, and we are all co-creators in this process of the planet and the cosmos. And the whole idea is for us to become masters at our craft. That requires a process of self-mastery. So this practice, as is presented within the works of the LYRICUS group and the Wingmakers material, the practice of when, which, how, what it is, it provides a very practical framework and explanation and understanding of how you're using the attributes of the heart chakra to essentially shift your experience or your relationship with the external world, and in so doing, beginning to understand the relationship and the power that we have within us to change the world by first shifting our own consciousness, or I should say not shifting it, but I should say elevating our own consciousness. So beyond the framework, that was, where did you leave off, Reverend Sharon?
I left the framework. I did not start it. So you can go ahead and take that first paragraph, yes, if you like.
Okay. All right. This begins by saying, it says, at the end of the last section, we discussed the definitions of the 6 heart virtues from the angle of the blueprint of exploration. This is the big picture viewpoint that places living from the heart, emotional self-mastery, and its practices within the context of the soul's journey through the multiverse, which is exactly what we're talking about right now. One of the stops on this journey is planet Earth. This is a place where we are experiencing separation from the soul and its unified state with First Source, or God, or whatever terminology we want to put, the Almighty Creator, whatever terminology we want to put there. Learning to live from the heart is the process of integrating the higher unitary nature of the soul with the unique individuated personality we have evolved in space-time. This might be called the ultimate framework, and it forms the transcendental background for all of our experiences. Now, let's talk about what this framework that they're referring to specifically as it opened up in the last section. We discussed the definitions of the 6 heart virtues. So according to the Wingmakers material, according to this body of work, the heart chakra is essentially centered on the energetic frequency of love. Love, however, throughout history and within our society, that word has been misunderstood. It has been bastardized. It has been blamed for things that it has absolutely nothing to do with. All kinds of stuff, because it comes out of great misunderstandings within us as human beings. This material essentially breaks the energetic frequency of love down into 6 component or sub-quantum frequencies. And they are described according to these words that we know in the English or within language as first, appreciation. Next, compassion. And this is not necessarily any specific order of priority. I'm just going through as they happen to be listed. Appreciation, compassion, forgiveness, humility, understanding, valor, and appreciation. Appreciation is what we started with. And basically these 6 virtues, are essentially the component of what true unconditional love is. So as Tony was expressing his experience today with driving and the frustration with the traffic and all that stuff and how he was feeling and how he was thinking, this particular framework is provided as a practical tool for you to, number one, begin to understand your own thoughts and feelings relative to the world around you. To number 2, begin to be able to have some level of facility and control whereby you can utilize your mind to determine what frequency of energy you want to be traveling through your system at that time. So, for example, if you're in a situation, and the way the examples and the application of this framework is expressed, in many different scenarios, you're driving on the street and someone cuts you off and the traffic is moving really slow and you're late for your appointment and you're really frustrated. Well, if you begin to think of the 6 heart virtues, you can find the virtues that are relative to that specific experience and the circumstances that you're experiencing, that if you begin to focus on these, on that particular virtue, that it literally shifts the frequency of your thoughts and your emotions towards something that is more positive, and as a result, you find that the physical world begin to respond accordingly. So in a situation like that, what would be necessary is understanding, humility, maybe recognizing that you are just another human being, just as every other human being that is on the road at that time, that has an agenda, is going somewhere, has their own thoughts, their own frustrations, and all of these things. And so instead of me getting frustrated about what I'm experiencing, let me look at it from a deeper level and understand what's really going on and where it's coming from. And whenever we apply that understanding to things, it usually takes away the level of ignorance or the fear or the insecurities that we have that causes us to have that negative emotional reaction, which then causes us to begin to create our reality from that place. So understanding, humility, forgiveness, compassion, appreciation, valor, these are all virtues that you bring actively into your thought process as you're experiencing and encountering the world on a daily basis, and as you're feeling how the world is affecting your whole physiological being.
Okay. Tony, Sharon, Tony, questions?
No. Very informative.
No questions. Okay. All right. This you guys are gonna have to look
Today,
some. Yes.
normally
Wait a minute, Tony.
I can navigate through it. Okay, can you hear me fine?
Yes.
Much better. Yes.
Yeah, but today was one of those days where I was being tried in every way possible. I did feel frustrated, but I also used Ho'oponopono a lot.
Right.
Very
After
good.
I was like, "You're such a,
And
jerk."
when you say Ho'oponopono, to be more specific, what exactly are you talking about? I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you.
That's correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's correct, because each time I got frustrated, I was like, okay, why am I getting so frustrated? Why am I attracting these experiences
Mm.
right
Oh,
now? So
here's.
then,
Go ahead.
I needed to, it's like, okay, I forgive you, I forgive me, and move on.
Think of it this way as well too. This this life experience is somewhat of a laboratory that provides us with a lot of feedback. A lot of the things that we think is very real and we get really bent out of shape of, all of it's just really designed to teach us something. All of the frustration, let's think about what how does the planet Earth, how does it provide us with life? What is one of the main functions? It is through the process of resistance that we are sustained here on this planet. If there weren't no resistance, we would literally just fall through the planet and keep falling to the core and fall to the other side and keep moving, right? So that statement, as simple as you see it, it has, applications and reverberations beyond just the physical construct. Understanding that this is a place of resistance, but that resistance is for our benefit. The problem, the challenge a lot of us have is the way that we are socialized, the way we grow up, the educational system, the economic system, the dogmatic systems, the information that we get at the tribal level when we are children growing up in our home with our parents or lack thereof or whatever that looks like for us on an individual basis. All of this stuff, it's truly an illusion that we have much great control over. But the control does not come through an egoistic sort of perspective of our understanding of ourselves and power. It actually comes with us actually literally giving up the ideas and surrendering a lot of the concepts and constructs that we have that fall underneath the idea of control, and allowing the truth of what real control and real power to begin to put in its appearance within our life experiences so that we can begin to make that transition and not remain trapped in this physical world chasing after things of naught. So all of these things, and what happens is that as you begin the process of awareness, self-awareness, as you begin that process of expanding your consciousness or ascending through higher levels of consciousness and awareness, your challenges become a lot greater, right? Because for whom much is given, much is expected. And the truth of the matter is that this stuff that we talk about and everyone talks about and we dabble in this is the highest of the most serious stuff. So no matter how much we may lie to ourselves, or we may fool ourselves, or we may allow ourselves to be fooled, the true inner power that is our birthright is not opened up to us until we are ready and prepared to be able to channel that, because it comes with great responsibility and great power. The power to heal, the greatest healer has the power to be the greatest source of destruction. So we have to overcome ourselves. We have to overcome our inner child. We have to overcome all of these things that cause us to be weak to the illusions of life, and that we surrender our power over to, such that someone says something to me and I'm pissed off and upset, and and I carry it with me for days on end, and I see the person, and the next time, and I have to tell them off, and all of this stuff. So again, this when, which, how practice becomes even more relevant and even more important, especially if we are recognizing and realizing our nature, that we have within us the healer, we have within us the teacher, we have within us the prophet, and this is not isolated to any one being. This is the nature of the soul, that which is eternal, that which is a part or a speck of the first source. So, as you say, Tony, when you have those days when you're being tried, you should actually give yourself a pat in the back, because it means you're actually making progress. Because what's happening is they're turning up the pressure on you so that you can learn. And it's a gradual process of removing the falsities and the breaking down of these constructs that we have within us that may have served us to this point. So it's not out of judgment, but out of discernment, have no real place for us going forward.
I smiled because that what you said, Vaughn, is well, I can't remember which group, but it's a general saying or thought in Buddhism that you can tell when you and with metaphysics in general, you can tell when you're doing the best work or the most work, or you are in the process of work when it all looks like hell.
Absolutely.
Before we're going to sign off in just a moment. It's well past 9:30.
I vote to move to 10.
Oh my God! I was just about to ask.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, you're fine with that, Sharon, Reverend Sharon Renee. Are you still there, dear? Hello? Okay. She's there, I'm sure. Okay, so we're going to go on to 10. This particular book has a diagram on, let's see, on the very next page. No, on page 44, that basically goes into what Vaughn was talking about. If you would continue.
And I want to add something real quickly, because it's important. I think it's really important for us to be able to understand where we are in our process and what's going on. I think it's very important as seekers, anyone who is a seeker, to sort of have understand a little bit of where you are and what you're working on, so that you can take the time to allow that to really take root in you before we run on to the next thing. And the reason that I'm saying this is that this practice of when, which, how, this Wingmakers, or this material that we're reading from, the way that it's set up is that this when, which, how practice is the beginning. It is the beginning of us on that journey towards self-mastery that begins with self-awareness. And what they are very clear to communicate through the LYRICUS group is that it is of the utmost imperative and importance that we take the time to master within our own being and develop a level of self-mastery before we begin to go out and try to affect the world at large. This is talking about being activated at a different level. It's talking about being activated at a level where you are in the world but truly not of the world, and therefore by your connection become a source a source or a conduit of energy and information that can come through and create the shifts according to the natural order and natural law. So what this practice that we're talking about it opens up and it goes very, very deep, but it's just the beginning. Because once you begin to understand this and practice this and master this, then you get to the next level where you begin to engage in this practice, but you're now engaging with it at a cosmic level. For us to be able to do that, we must have created a certain level of alignment within our being and a certain level of unencumbering of our mind, such that we do not fall prey to the traps and the prisons that exist on every level of consciousness within the spectrum of ascension. Once
Well,
we
good
are
evening.
still operating in this human instrument.
Good evening, Miss O'Reilly. You just made the vote. I was going to shut down at 9:40,
Oh,
but consensus preferred 10. So you just made it in enough time. Uh,
technical
did you?
difficulties. I'm so sorry,
Oh,
and good evening to everybody.
that's going on, dear.
Good
Technical.
evening,
Yes,
Hilda.
there's a lot of reasons why that's going on right now. Did you get the copies that I emailed you?
I
Because
just
that's the,
actually, I just was able to log into my email right now, so I have not
okay.
checked that.
Okay, Vaughn has been reading from uh, the 2 pages or the page that I sent out, uh, number 42, the practice of when, which, how, and that was really intuitive selection or spirit selection, however you want to designate that, because you guys are coming in on this at another level. And I have a question for Tony. I pretty much know where uh, the ladies are on this, but my dear, when I suggested to you coming in on the LYRICUS group information, I did not ask you. I was simply going by intuition that you would appreciate this level of discussion. Why? Well, this is the question. Do you think that this is something that continue to see go on? How do you feel about the level of discussion so far? I mean, from the conversations that you and I have had on the phone, etc. Yeah, whatever. How do you feel at this point?
I feel really good about it. I really enjoy it.
Okay.
I feel that it's just a very enlightening, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
Okay. All right. O'Reilly,
Is it
Irish,
just 2 pages?
yes. I
Okay,
thought, okay. It's
I'm
just two
looking.
pages. No, my
I
scanner
got.
stopped. I would have sent more. My scanner stopped working on me. Um, I know Reverend Sharon Renee's background. We're both sort of from the same cloth, and so I don't really have to ask. But Sharon, are you still there?
I am. I am.
Okay. Did you have anything that you wanted to say?
No, no. I'm pretty much open and receiving the information that is
Wonderful,
being given.
wonderful. Absolutely.
So
Okay.
I want to go on
Uh,
real. I want to mention something else relative to the when, which, how practice as the beginning of this particular technique or this particular body of work. And we said that it leads into a bigger practice that involves more of shifting and affecting the world through your own inner workings. And on page 42, the last sentence I read, it says, this might be called, and this is referring to the when, which, how practice. It says, this might be called the ultimate framework and it forms the transcendental background for all our experiences. Then it goes on to say, and this is what it shifts to in terms of the bigger practice, it says, the paper Living from the Heart, and that's our writing within this body of work, mentions another framework that is more directly connected to our practice. This is the fundamental structure in which we conduct our practice of when, which, how. The practice rests on the foundation of coherence, right? So there has to be a certain level of coherence within us at first, but then it goes on to say, and this is the next practice beyond the when, which, how practice, is called the art of the genuine. The art of the genuine is the practice of coherence between the deeper awakening of the heart virtues within each of us and their faithful expression in the worlds of form. So this is actually now taking it from the work that we're doing inside to how we are consciously participating in the co-creative process within the world of form, known as the three-dimensional world, or in the chakra system, the lower three chakras. It says those individuals who are awakened to the frequencies of the energetic heart within and practice those individuals who are awakened to the frequencies of the energetic heart within and practice to their best ability in the moment the expression of these frequencies in their behavior and actions are practicing their highest purpose. They are seeking to increase the degree of coherence between what they understand their heart virtues to be and how they can express those heart virtues with genuineness. This is a straightforward process. We read or hear about these 6 heart virtues. We recall their meanings as we have understood them from our social upbringing. We begin to think more deeply about them in relation to the suggestion that these virtues are aspects of divine love, that they originate in the immortal spiritual soul, and they are contained in our energetic body at the place of our heart, or the heart chakra. Based on all of this, we begin to create our own ideas about these virtues. These make a deeper impact on us, and we begin to apply these to our own behaviors and attitudes. We move from an intellectual level to a practical level. The critical factor is that we are using our intention to activate what is in our hearts and minds by expressing these 6 heart virtues in our lives. This is coherence based on authenticity and genuineness. This entire process is based on a framework. And then it goes a little bit further talking about that framework and whatnot. But again, the point that I'm making is that, you see, what it's talking about there is it's exactly what we've been discussing in the conversation tonight, that this is just the beginning of us developing the relationship with these virtues and beginning to consciously be aware of them and to integrate them in our moment-to-moment experience of within the world of forms, to shift our behavior and our attitudes and our emotions and our thoughts and the actions that come out thereof. And the more we practice this, and the more the deeper levels of mastery that we develop, that process then moves into something that is happening at a greater, more grander scale, and it becomes more specific in terms of the instruction, the information, the techniques, and the tools that's being shared through this Wingmakers or the LYRICUS group information.
Okay. Any questions? No questions?
Nope.
All right. let's see. I'm not going to do any reading this evening.
I want to
But
read one more thing. I'm sorry, but this
no, no, no. Go ahead.
there's just stuff that keeps popping up here that becomes
No,
more and more relevant.
go right ahead.
All right. So the last thing I read, it said this is coherence based on authenticity and genuineness. The entire process is based on a framework. It says there is an ascending spiral process to this practice. Think about it. Ascending spiral. One must, but it goes on, and this is very important. One must be grounded in the framework, and this can be done by studying the free e-paper, The Art of the Genuine, A Spiritual Imperative, and then contemplating its meaning. So it's referencing further writings within this body of work of knowledge and information. That is there's a free e-paper that's available. That's called The Art of the Genuine, A Spiritual Imperative. Okay? So, but what illuminates from that little, these few sentences is that first it says, there is an ascending spiral process to this practice. So as you're practicing this process, this is the practice of ascension. This is the process of ascension. But it goes on to say one must be grounded in the framework. And again, the framework that you're talking about is that when, which, how practice that involves these 6 heart virtues that come together to create unconditional divine love. So in other words, what it's saying, before we want to go out and fix the world and do all this stuff, before we want to go out and fix the multiverse, we've got to get the universe that is you, Reverend Sharon, and the other Reverend Sharon, that it's Miss Riley, I don't know who the first name, or Tony, or anyone who's a part of this conversation. That's where the work lies.
I see that Spirit is working with this. I was going to read that paragraph, and you took it up. Very good. Spirit is always in the midst somewhere, and I use that term Spirit, oh goodness, very freely.
Very liberally?
Okay.
In a very liberal manner?
In a very liberal manner. Everything is Spirit. Okay. So what we're going to do now, it's 9:55. Is there any other question? Anything else? Someone ask a question, please. No? Overwhelmed. I love it.
About this article.
Yes.
Are we able to access the Wingmaker's website or not?
Try it. I've been trying. This is from the book. Okay, this is because I have the book. Try the links. The links, yeah, I sent you guys a couple of links. I noticed that some of them are working and some of them are only working partially. I don't know why that is, but if you can get in, do that. I usually go to Mr. Mayhew's. Is it James Mayhew?
Yeah, Mahu.
Okay, Mahu. Okay. I usually go to whatever links that seem to originate from what he's doing or saying or has done. Keep in mind, he is, what is it? Well, I'm not sure where he is. I haven't seen him, actually. I know of him. As far as I know, he's authorized to work with this writing, and etc. Camelot Project was very authoritative on a lot of this information. I haven't been able to access anything through there lately, but in the past they've been very easy to access. So try.
I'm sorry. What's the name of the person who just asked that question?
That's Nelia.
Nelia
O'Reilly.
Nelia O'Reilly. Nelia, yes. you might
No, I'm looking.
You might experience some success if you search Wing Makers, but also search Ancient Arrow Project.
True. I had forgotten about the Ancient Arrow Project.
And you can also search the Lyricus group, or Lyricus order, rather. Lyricus teaching order.
I think I got, yeah, I took that information. I think I got in now to the website because I had tried before and I couldn't.
Okay.
Now
Keep trying.
I'm trying to locate the website where we were able to purchase the books and the materials that we're reading from. And I think I found it. It's wingmakers.com.
I sent that link out.
That's where I got in there.
I sent them that link already.
Yeah. But I'm getting, my connection is not private and like I can't access it. That was
exactly that was this weekend. I noticed that. I wanted to go into
that trouble on.
No, I'm actually able to access it right now online through my phone, but you know, that's just at a visual level. I'm not trying to purchase anything or anything like that, so that might be a different experience.
Just keep trying.
Oh, but yeah, so interestingly enough, it says your connection is not private. Attackers might be trying to steal your information from. Yeah. Yeah,
the three of us have had the same experience. Sharon, have you had that experience with the link?
We should disclose there is this information, or the releasing of this information, or this body of work. It was done in somewhat of a it was incorporated in a narrative and a story that, while you know there's great resonance that it could be very, very factual. You kind of just have to take it with a grain of salt, right? But the bottom line and the challenge, I guess, the difficulty maybe in accessing this information is that the story behind the author and the custodian of this information who's releasing it is that this individual got access to all of this information and experiences and whatnot through his employment, lifelong work, with a very extremely high globally ranking, extremely secretive sort of a skunk works type organization that no one knows about. Yeah, but I mean, we could call it Acme, from the Roadrunner. We could call it whatever. But the point I'm making is that the whole idea is that the author or the source of this information understands and feels that there is a potential risk to his well-being for having released this information. And so it's done in a format where he has been somewhat very secretive and clouded in terms of disguising his true identity and, disguising, I guess, any kind of information that could lead anyone to really be able to, sort of trace it back to him specifically. However, he was very successful, in my opinion, in being able to get the information out there in a format that, even though it's presented in somewhat of a storybook, some people may even say fictional, sort of a, sci-fi type of a way, if you have a little bit of discernment and you've been kind of paying attention and seeking, you begin to see stuff that's in there that really does resonate, So there's some difficulty in getting the books, and there's some difficulty in communicating with the folks at the website and all of this stuff, and we've all experienced it. So I'm just letting you know ahead of time, just so that you understand, the nature of this stuff.
The nature of it truly is a system of disclosure. I know that there is a lot of attention to that word these days, and to different people it means different things. To me, it means whenever you're discussing something out in the open that normally is not discussed. And this information is normally not discussed in the open. What we are discussing and what we are sharing in this particular program is something that humanity really, I believe, has in its soul to know, to desire, to be a part of this information. But for a lot of people, it's news. It's something that,
Well, it's
oh, wow.
information. It's exactly, it's
Yeah.
information. Yeah, it's just,
Yeah,
it's
it's
no
information.
different. Yeah, it's no different than anything else or, that you find in the internet or, and this is what we were saying at the beginning of the conversation tonight is that it's very important to discern between information and knowledge. It's two different things completely.
And so, Reverend Sharon Renee, are you still there? Yes, she's there somewhere. It is 4 minutes. I hate to be being countered, but it's 4 minutes after. And so I'm going to start closing.
Yes.
I called your name so that it's time for announcements. What do you have to announce, my dear? Where are you going to be so that we can see your lovely face?
Well, I've been trying to. I've been doing releasing. I feel. Hold on. Yes, no, we just have Small Business Saturday, which is this Saturday, coming up, supporting all small businesses. So you're going to see a lot of different flyers, announcements, and different things. Just let us all support our small businesses, including Merging Spirit.
Don't forget the Universal Institute of Energy Healing, Inc.
Yeah, ink.
Yes, definitely, Inc. Let's not forget the ink. I fought a hard battle to get that ink in there. Okay, so if Robert were here, I would have him speak about the Center for Inner Wisdom. And I hesitate to give out his phone number, but if you go online, and that's for anyone who I did see a couple of viewers in the audience pass through at one point. So, and I know that this usually gets looked at after the fact. Sometimes people can't make it, and they just don't want to be online. So anyone that may come across this information in the future, look up Center for Inner Wisdom. Yes. Reverend Robert Ray is usually available for healing from Monday to Thursday. Well, he works Friday sometimes. Whenever. He is an amazing individual, and we're all in the healing business. Oh wow, that was flagrant, wasn't it? But yes, but yeah, we're all in the process. Each and every one of us are in the process of assisting in the healing process, and so there you have that.
When you say business, you don't mean a dollar. You're not referring to the dollars and cents business. You're talking about the business of healing.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like I'm here to say about my father's business.
Yes. Oh, I am. That is the only reason I'm still on this planet is to see about my father's business. Let's see. This Wednesday, don't look for the Gathering of the Goddesses. Yes, there will not be. The goddesses will be in Olympus this Wednesday. They're not going to be on the ground level. They're going to be in Olympus. And next Monday, well, I already asked the question of Tony, but everyone here is enjoying this type of format, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I want you guys to continue this type of format, even if I'm not around to assist you in continuing it. This is the last Monday that I'm going to be doing available to do this until the end of the year. Depending on how things work out through the months of December, I may be back in January or not, but that should not stop this. Nothing can stop the truth. and I see this as the truth. I'm going on sabbatical until the first week of January. However, I will continue to, as soon as I can get my scanner to work again, send out copies of whatever you want to have copies of. You can contact Robert Ray, Reverend Robert Ray, online or on Facebook. There is a Lyricus group page, which I'm not sure I will go ahead and give him a call in the morning.
Lyricus.org.
Oh, yes,
And
it's
I
on,
did
no,
find
no, no, no,
information
no. The
ancient
one I'm
Africa.
talking, Nelia, the one I'm talking about, you are on Facebook and you can
Oh, okay.
access it. What I'm going, yeah, there's a Facebook page. Tony's on Facebook as well. So is Reverend Sharon. So what I'm going to do is just remind Robert in the morning, probably, to allow you guys to have access so that you can friend and get in. And then any other questions that you have, you will have Robert and you will have Vaughn. And if it's an emergency, just those of you who have my phone number, well, everybody's got my phone number. The whole world has my phone number. But you shouldn't need to get in touch with me. But what I'm saying is that there will be resources there for you. So if you have questions about the book and when the classes, the Thursday evening classes will start up again, um, that would be your outlet there. And of course, if you guys decide that you want to do something through Facebook, because I know that there's a live sort of, Sharon, help me with that because you are more familiar with that. I haven't done that yet, but that's coming. That'll be in January. But
Oh,
there's a live venue that you take part in when you're having your whatever it is you do your lectures on Facebook. So that can be done. I may talk with Robert about doing that so you guys can continue to meet on Monday evenings if you want to. I'm glad that you really enjoy this. And I'm sure, I know that you're going to appreciate it as you continue. We're going to sign off this evening with the Om. And me and my Tibetan bowls, I'm going to ring them. But I'd just like to say thank you so much for your participation. It has been fantastic working with you guys. It really has. And who knows, maybe something else will come along down the pike and I'll be able to come back on the air faster. But right now, I don't see it before January, at least not for this particular program. Got a lot of stuff on the plate, ladies and gents. And so I appreciate your presence and your energy. I feel that heartfelt compassion that comes through the virtues, and bless each and every one of you. Uh, Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, Happy. Okay, we're going to start with the.
Before you go,
Uh,
real quickly, with the information that you just shared, for the benefit
yes,
of the participants who may see value in this information and may have an interest in developing a more intimate relationship with it. Um, you know, this process or this medium of us meeting through the hangouts and these Monday night discussions, this has been the latest in the process of evolution as we have been working with this material and studying it and whatnot. It started off actually initially as a once every other week, every 2 weeks, sorry, on a Thursday night that we would have a meet and actually have a book club where we actually would read through the material so everyone collectively as a group move through the body of information. We could discuss what was being shared. We could relate it on an individual level. Everyone could participate and talk about their experiences and seek some level of support from the group or the collective within whoever is showing up on that evening. The challenge, however, with that approach is that it really was just taking us very long to get to this information. And then there were some other shifts and whatnot. So we ended up taking it to this medium where we're meeting every Monday night. However, there is the understanding that something more substantive needs to be structured. At least that's how we're thinking. And I'm throwing it out there because I want to get the feedback from like Tony and Nelia and Sharon Renee. What we're looking to do with this is actually create a little bit more of a structure and a bit more engagement from the individuals. So it's not just something that we kind of go to like once a week, but it's something that we can actively all engage on and really be able to take the most from it. You know what I'm saying? Really be able to go deep into it, spend the time and to extract from it as much as it will afford us on an individual basis. So with that being said, what level of interest is there from Tony and Nelia and Sharon Renee? If it's not possible, or if it's more challenging to meet physically at the center once every 2 weeks or whatever, what about creating a program where we're actually doing a book study and actually going through the materials? So it becomes a little bit more, structured, a little bit more organized, and there's, a path for us to follow relative and specific to this information. Is there an interest?
Oh, yes, I'm sure there is an interest. I'm speaking for Tony and Nelia and Sharon Renee, but
Yes.
Nelia's, I know. No, don't,
So I'm very interested because I'm not as ahead in the material as you guys are because you got started with the Thursday. So I'm interested, and I like structure.
I'm laughing because this one, O'Reilly, the Irish have always been my bane. Oh God, this one has kept track of me with the from the very beginning when just the Thursday was available because she's always been interested, and she and I usually connect every day, if not every other day, with information and just inquiries on what's going on. So what are you doing next, et cetera, et cetera. And I see this turning into a book club. The only online book club, the only reason why it has come to the Monday evening from 8:30 to 9:30 was to assist Robert's schedule. Really wanted to be able to be there so that he could come in because he has so much work that he's doing, and it's about making the time for it. Once you get started with the studies itself, it's really up to the individual to take it from a day to day because you can see this working in your life if you step back and detach yourself for a moment and just observe. You can see the influence that it has in your life. So Reverend Sharon is another one I talk to daily. Tony, I only talk to every other day, right, Tony?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's
and
just.
I will be calling you tomorrow, by the way.
But it's. I see it growing much more. I'm sorry that I have to take a sabbatical now, but this is a good time to do it. It's holiday season. Everyone has whatever it is that they do in three-dimensional for holiday.
And this is a time of year that it becomes a lot more challenging to coordinate with people's schedules and these kinds of things. So
Exactly.
I really don't see that there's I'm not accepting of your apology because there's no apology necessary. I think that everything is in perfect synchronization.
Who
What I am,
apologized?
what, what I do, what's coming to me now that you're sharing this information, um, is that let us use this time very wisely. So perhaps we should use this time to prepare for the beginning of next year, where we
Exactly.
actually set a schedule, we'll have certain things. But what I mean by that is that between now and the end of the year, we gotta, we'll through the center. I'll talk to Robert and Reverend Sharon, and we'll see what we could do to get access to more of the Wingmakers books, so that maybe between now and the beginning of the year, you each can get a copy of your own. Because for this to really be for you to invest the time and the energy and to really get the most out of it, I think it's really valuable to have access to the materials. So you can read according to your own pace and you have that reference material to go back to. But more importantly, I want to say something. This can be whatever you want it to be. And what do I mean by that? If you want your relationship with this to be at the level of of it being informational or intellectual, then that's exactly what it can be. And then it becomes a book club, an exploration of information and ideas. If you're working to it, or to the extent that you've been exposed to it, it resonates with you at a higher level, and you see that this is not just information. There's actual practices and techniques and stuff that I need to be engaging in on a daily basis and paying attention and making notes, and then having a support or a support group that has the foundation of this information that I can go back to, and I can share my experiences and all these things. Then that becomes something very different, which becomes more transformational or experiential as opposed to intellectual or informative,
Okay,
right?
I just want to bring up, we've just lost Reverend Sharon Renee because she's not feeling well. But I know that I'm going to check on her eventually, and I just want to send her some light because she says she feels like she's coming down with a cold. So I'm
She
sorry
needs
that
she needs she needs some remote vital life force energy
yes,
healing.
yes, we're on it. We're on it. Reiki does remote as well. We're on it. Didn't mean to cut you off, but yes, in full agreement with everything that you've said. Um, we do, though, however, we have hit the 2-hour mark, so it's time to just release and take a deep breath. Eyelids lowered, eyes directed upwards towards the eyebrows, the center of the universe within you. Through the nostrils, inhaling, releasing through parted lips. We begin with the Om sound. Take a deep breath before the next Om. O'Reilly, Tony, and release with the sound. And once again, deep breath. And God bless you in keeping until the new year, until we meet again. Das Vidania. May the Archangel Michael always secure you on the right, Gabrielle on the left, Uriel before you, Raphael watching your back, and the eternal Shekinah, sharing the light of divine love around you and surrounding you at all times. Good night. I am, we are. Happy holidays. Namaste.
Happy Thanksgiving. Namaste.
Happy holidays.
Happy
Namaste.
Yeah, tell that to the Indians.
That's right.
I was waiting for that to come through. Okay.
Happy
Good
Thanksgiving,
night.
everyone. Much love. Good night.
Much
Good
love.
night.
Good night.
Lots of love.
Good